You might meet someone who already has a child, you guys get married, or you guys become partners, and then you're supposed to father all of the children in that arrangement. So that in and of itself can be challenging because this is not your biological child, right? Then another challenge also would then be societal pressures that are placed on men.
The motherland, the African man. Long as I'm alive, I'ma make a plan. Strongholds to break, got long walks to take, got no votes to make. We don't bet, we pray. Hey, African man, yeah. The African male iris through the eye of an African male.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to OTG Bar out here in Paulshof. My name is Leroy Gopal, and welcome to the live podcast of the African Male Iris. Give yourselves a round of applause for making it here this afternoon. Oh yeah. This is where I really wish Tino was on the ones and twos, actually just gata, 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 gata. You know? But of course, this show wouldn't be what it is without the three gents sitting up there. Please put your hands together for DJ Tino, Prayer Soul, and Slim. Yeah. This show was designed to make you feel good. It was designed to create a platform where we can come together as African men to really talk about some burning issues on our souls. But of course, not excluding the ladies, because we all know that, it's important to have the ladies in these conversations. And I think it's so awesome that we have a great number of females in the building. It means we're doing something right if we're attracting the ladies as well. Because we've created a platform that really allows men to express themselves and really get rid of the old adage of that men don't speak. And so we've created this platform so that we can really converse, chat, grow one another, cry with each other if we need to, and also share the things that are really bettering our lives or the challenges that we're facing. That is really the foundation of the African Male Iris. Without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to our gents there at the front. Take us through, guys, actually, why we're here today and also where the show has come from as we're celebrating the anniversary of this show. But before I do that, we also just want to say thank you so much to SAB for coming on board as one of our sponsors. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you so much. Over to you, gents.
Thank you, Leroy. And welcome everyone to the African Male Iris live podcast event. Thank you for making it and thank you for registering for the event. And my name is DJ Tino.
My name is Prayer Soul.
And I'm Slim, the corner soul.
Slim always has a name every episode. Yeah, so this week marks our 1 year anniversary for the podcast, right?
Yes, thank you.
And I think what really makes this event special is that it's actually 360. This is where we originally started with the podcast. If you just go outside, there's a room that has Heineken branding there. That's where we started. And it was pretty much, a year ago?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and it's so fitting that we have our 1 year anniversary here as well.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm really just excited that you guys are here. So I feel like I should do a big round of applause for all of you guys coming through. So thank you so much for coming. Because for us to actually make it to a year, it's because of all the support that people gave us through watching the show online, on YouTube, on our channel, which you need to subscribe to if you haven't, because we're kind of close to monetization. So if you're watching it, you're actually helping. So yes, it'll be good if you can actually, watch we have great content, but we were also growing in that year and figuring ourselves out. And it's just great to see the growth a year later and to be able to share it with people in real time. So, thank you so much for the support.
100%.
Yeah.
And thank you to everyone who attended our first live. I don't know if there's anyone who was on the first live event here. I see a hand there, my wife, of course.
Right.
And her friend, Tombi. Yeah, so it's actually good to know that most people here were not part of the first live.
Exactly.
And we have a fresh audience for this one.
Absolutely.
So, yeah,
Yes.
that's good to see. That's good to see. And we encourage you to see that first live because it was fire. Hey, people were speaking their mind. We talked about mental health. We talked about relationships, and people spoke their mind. And it was just ordinary people just speaking from experiences. And as I think Leroy mentioned, we've got questionnaires on the tables. If you happen to find a questionnaire, you need to just fill it in for us during the course of the podcast so that we have the feedback to inform our next event in terms of the guest speakers we need to bring in and the topics we need to cover. And you find that today we have, from the response of the first episode, we made sure that we also brought a specialist, a clinical therapist, social worker. I don't want to say all of it because I might not say it correctly. So we got Sean Zimunya, who is a therapist, a seasoned therapist, who is going to be assisting us today in addressing some of the issues that we had in the first live. And of course, audience engagement is what we want for live podcast events. So if you have any burning issues or questions, comments, please feel free to just jump in and Leroy will assist you to bring the mic and everything. All right? So I think we can just run through a bit of a brief from our guest, Sean. So Sean Zimunya's areas of expertise, employee wellness and psycho-educational training, leadership development, strategy formulation, people skills, communication, relationships, conflict resolution, mental health, personal and professional development, team building and realignment, change management, emotion intelligence training, individual, group, family, and martial therapy, organizational development. Wow, there's a lot here, Sean. Hey, learning and development, parental guidance, and skills training. Wow, jack of all trades right there. And don't ask us how we got him. He's doing us a favor, to be honest. I just literally found Sean online, and I just took a chance. Let me call this guy, and he actually answered. He's like, you know what, guys, you're doing something good. I'm willing to come through and assist you guys. So we thank Sean for that. Thank you so much, Sean Zimunya. So I think without further ado, Sean Zimunya, may you please kindly join us on stage.
Please make some noise for our special guest. Yes.
So do we need the mic from Leroy? Okay.
I could see everyone paying attention when we started reading out what Sean does, and when they said employee wellness, everyone's like, my boss needs to come in. My boss needs to come in. Okay, so to kick off the show, what we thought we would do is we'd collect all of the stuff that you guys are writing on the questionnaires. So what we do with those questions is we actually go over them as a team, and then we try and forge them into sort of like the general question of this topic is being asked maybe in two different ways, and then that's what we're going to always lead with in the next show. So what you guys are asking is going to be the material that we're going to use for our next show. So we actually have a couple of really interesting questions for you, Sean, just to kick it off.
I'm game.
And maybe we'll just give you a chance to say hi to everybody before we start firing away.
Hi, everyone. I had actually requested, the reason why I sent through a profile is I struggle to speak about myself. So do you have the profile?
Yes.
Are you just going to read
if you just read parts of it, just read parts of it. Otherwise, I'm very shy. You guys can tell, ne?
Okay.
Do you want me to do it?
Oh, sure.
Okay, cool.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we're gonna try and breeze through this as quickly as possible because it's not short. But Sean is a highly qualified and experienced clinical therapist and social worker, organizational and personal change catalyst, coach and speaker, trainer and wellness practitioner with a range of skills, having worked in both clinical and corporate spaces. Sean is also an academic at heart with a keen interest in wellness and ensuring that each human being... Is there sound? Okay. All right. He's also an experienced therapist and employee wellness specialist. Employee wellness. Sean has been invited to many platforms in corporate spaces on various national radio stations like 5FM, Metro FM, and SAFM as a subject matter expert on mental and social health. Sean utilizes an eclectic approach that borrows from social work, sociology, psychology, spiritual, and traditional approaches, as he believes in holistic counseling as a vehicle to achieve well-being. So, as a student of human life, Sean is passionate about assisting individuals to live up to their true potential. There's still more, but I think that sort of encompasses the amount of wealth and experience that he has. So, can you tell us something that's not on this profile? Like something about family and...
Tell us about yourself.
What do you do on a Sunday or something?
Yeah.
Where do I start? I do a lot of things, but I'm just a lover of human life. A firm believer in the fact that human beings are not finished products. We're in the process of becoming. So because we're in the process of becoming, there's always room to do better. And I love Formula One, so I'm missing the qualifying today.
Right.
I want to send a shout out to the wife who's in the audience, and a bestie who's also in the audience. Just a lover of life, an academic at heart. I read a lot, I study a lot. Currently a doctoral candidate at one of the universities in SA, which I will not name.
Right.
I get jealous sometimes.
Okay.
All about just improving human beings, relationships, businesses as well, because we do strategy. I'm the co-founder of a company called Winterton Consulting, and we're all about people, relationships, performance.
Right.
So that's the long and short of who I am.
Okay.
Another round of applause for Sean.
Cool.
All right, Sean. Just to kick off our conversations, I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions, and hopefully, we can get a discussion going. The first question I have for you is, what challenges do you feel men are having as fathers in the modern day?
Okay. So the first thing is, let's actually dissect the word father, which is a derivative of the language called Aramic, which is actually Abba. In Arabic, it's Abba. And Abba, by definition, is essentially source, but also sustainer of life. So that's what a father is. A father is the source, as well as a sustainer of life. So many of us as men struggle with actually understanding the fact that you're supposed to be the source, but also then you're supposed to sustain life. So that's challenge number one.
Okay.
Challenge number two would obviously be the changing family structure, in the sense that we have right now blended families, for example, where you might meet someone who already has a child, you guys get married, or you guys become partners, and then you're supposed to father all of the children in that arrangement. So that in and of itself can be challenging because this is not your biological child, right? Then another challenge also would then be societal pressures that are placed on men. I think all of us would agree that men have a lot of pressure to perform, a lot of pressure to provide. I think we played ourselves, though, as men when we designed patriarchy, didn't we?
Yeah.
Because we got up and we said, we provide, and. So that in and of itself is also pressure that is brought to bear on men. The fact that you have to provide financially, but it goes beyond financial provision. And I think that's where we miss it when it comes to parenting. It includes also psychological provision.
Okay.
Am I providing a safe space on a psychological level, a space that is free of stress and anxiety for the children, but also for the partner? right? Over and above that, spiritually, am I providing? So whatever faith I believe in, am I myself living in according to the basic tenets, principles of that particular faith? And if I am I then guiding my family to do the same, including the children? Then obviously, because of modernity as well, fathers are expected to be a lot more involved now in terms of child rearing, in terms of doing chores, etc. And all of that presents a challenge in the fact that I can give you stats for South Africa. A 2022 study posits that around 42% of all households in South Africa are actually female-headed. So what does that tell you? It tells you that the men in those families are actually absent. So if you then have somebody who is raised by a single mom, who then becomes a dad, does he have a role model on which he can base his parenting off of? Because if you don't have such a role model, then it's going to prove to be difficult trying to figure it out. How do I navigate the relationship I have with this child? How do I make sure they grow up to be responsible? How do I make sure they are going in the way that they should? And I think that it's important that we're having these conversations because people actually minimize what parenting is about. When you're a parent, whether you're male or female, you're essentially programming the life of this particular child. So you're programming them for the future. So whatever you invest in them at this particular age is exactly who they turn out to be. I can tell you now, if I were to psychoanalyze, for example, but I'm not going to do that because I'm not at work.
Right.
I can tell how someone was raised just based off of how they conduct themselves. Whether they had somebody that served as a positive role model, and many people don't seem to understand, as psychotherapists, when we ask about your childhood, it's not because we want to push the hours and get paid. It's because everything springs from childhood. The person you are now, sitting where you're sitting, actually springs from your childhood. The ways in which you were raised. Were you raised in a situation in which you were encouraged to take risks, for example? Or were your parents so strict that you're always so guarded? Even as an adult now, are you the type that's so overly guarded? You might think that's just your nature, and yet it's actually something that was programmed deep inside of you from childhood.
Wow, a round of applause for Sean. So far, it's like too much, bro. Woo! Wow.
A lot to think about.
Wow, I
haven't even done.
I have so many questions already, and I'm like, wow, this is gonna be so good. Wow.
Are you going to say something?
No. I was thinking, I really want to ask my question, but maybe you can like finish yours and then.
Well, I was going to ask something before.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. What about the complexities of different cultures, and how would you navigate that as a father?
So, when I spoke of blended families, etc., that's an example of it, right? Different cultures, and so part of what we need to do, I think the easiest thing to do is to always have a model. So when I speak of a model, it's essentially like this. When you meet your partner, what is the vision? There's got to be a vision. So a vision for the relationship, but also a vision even for the parenting. We've brought these people into the world. How are we going to raise them? And it needs to be a negotiated settlement between the two of us. It can't be my way because there are certainly good things that come from how I was raised, but there are also negatives that come from how I was raised. In the same way that there are negatives that come from how my partner was raised. So we then need to sit down and say, okay, let's come up with a hybrid model. Of the things that you were taught when you were growing up, what do you think we should instill in our children? We write all of those things down, and then we develop our own hybrid model that speaks to how we want to parent going forward. The same with culture, like you're saying, culture for me is, it's not static, right? Culture essentially is fluid, it changes over time, and so it's essentially, again, something that we can negotiate. If I'm Zulu and you're Sotho, for example, or Shona, for example, what cultural traits or practices are we going to follow and why? And it needs to be an agreement between you and your partner because you don't parent by yourself. So negotiation, open communication, as well as just taking responsibility for the development of your own hybrid. Don't look at what your parents did. And I can tell you now, if you're a parent, if you're raising your child in the way that you were raised, you've already failed. And the reason why I say that is because
Times
the
have
times are
changed.
different.
Yeah.
Our children are different from who we are. And the practical realities themselves are also now different.
Okay, all right.
Wow.
That's a mouthful.
I know, bro.
I guess we'll have a bit of a discussion and questions as well from the guests later on. I think I'll just jump on to our next question, and it's about relationships. How do you move from casual dating to committed dating and then marriage?
This one is interesting. How do you move from casual dating to
Committed dating.
committed dating? So why we're assuming that there should be a difference between committed dating and casual dating? Also, what is casual dating?
Well,
It's just a sanitized way of. We're just smashing right now. We're just smashing
we've
right
literally
now.
just met and we're getting to know each other.
So here's the thing. Dating is a practice that's eons of years old, right? And the whole idea behind dating was it was always supposed to be a laboratory, if you will, for what's going to be happening in an actual marriage situation. So I've never understood casual dating. I know people do it, but the whole essence of dating actually is to say, okay, listen, I'm trying to build something with you. And so I need to figure out, is this going to work in the long run, right? That's what dating was essentially about. But of course, we're in the 21st century where people speak of casual dating, where I'm meeting 30,000 people. It's also okay, by the way. As long as you have your limits, especially when it comes to sex itself. I think there should be limits because sex is spiritual. So you can't be out there with 30,000 people. So dating could essentially just be let's go and listen to the Male African Iris live podcast recording. We are on a date. We are in that particular setting. I'm trying to figure out, how do you react around other people, number one. Number two, are you going to be a part of the discussions that are happening, right? Already I'm trying to suss you out in terms of, are you somebody that I could actually build with, right? So scratch the casual for me, just say dating.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
It's that's what it is. So how do we move? It's essentially about timing, number one. What is the essence of what is the reason why you're getting into dating? What is the aim? Is it to eliminate loneliness?
I think that's where the casual comes in.
That's where the casual comes in, right? But it's unsustainable. Is it to actually move towards marriage? If the answer is, I want to move towards marriage, then definitely you should be committed, number one. Number two, you should also actually then have an idea of what it means in terms of you as a married person and that particular individual, and this mic is low, that particular individual as a married individual as well. What does a wife look like to you? How do they behave? How do they talk? How do they fight? What does a husband look like to you? And what is a good marriage to you? How do you define it? How do we deal with conflict? Once your mindset is such that you are thinking of such things, that's you moving to committed dating.
Wow.
But I think that you should be committed from the onset. But let's be clear. It's okay to meet 10 people in 10 months, right? It's okay because you're sussing them out. But when we speak of committed dating, there should have been a checklist that they have gone through where you can say, listen, because I think he's nice, I think he has a vision, I think he has a mission, maybe then let's see if we can actually commit, right? And then we move to committed dating where it becomes, okay, how do you react in front of my family? How do you react when we fight? What's your thoughts about money? Basic fundamentals that people are not doing. Again, let me give you stats. Part of the reason why 45% of marriages in South Africa end in divorce before 10 years is what I call a failure to have foundational conversations.
Okay.
So what are foundational conversations? What are you healing from as a person? So these are questions you should be asking each other, right? To those that are single in the room, it might be wise to take notes, né? Because I'm dropping bombs here and there. So number one, what are you healing from as a person? Right? Number two, what sort of family do you come from? Because when you are dating, even when you get married, it's not just about the two of you. It includes the family this person comes from as well. So it's important that you understand what sort of family they come from. The second you find, even as you're still dating, hey, the family is very toxic, hey, be very careful there. Né? Either he's exactly the same or maybe he's the odd one out, right? So what are you healing from? What sort of family do you come from? What is your relationship with money?
Okay.
Because that's a big contributory
finances
factor.
are a big thing.
Finances, right? But also, what sort of communication styles do you use, right? And how do you deal with conflict? So say, for example, when you're angry, how do you act? Is it you withdrawing attention, you know, the whole silent treatment?
Yeah.
Or are you actually somebody that's emotionally intelligent enough to indicate, listen, I'm upset with you, and this is why I'm upset, and we need to fix it. Over and above that, who is this person? So questions such as, who are you, dude, are also important. And I'll say this to the ladies in the room, a guy that does not know his mission and his purpose in life, it would not be wise to be with him. Why? Because we're wired in such a way that you have to chase after your purpose and your particular mission in life. Once that's sorted, then I can commit to a relationship. But if I'm still trying to figure myself out, I don't know where I'm going, I'm still trying to figure out, am I going to Bloemfontein or to Durban? That's kind of tricky. Now, I'm not saying if he doesn't know, leave him. That's not what I'm saying. But at the very least, help him then figure that out. You also should know your purpose, by the way, because it goes both ways. It's not just about the gents. So do you know yourself as a person? Do you know what your life purpose is? What particular talents, gifts, and abilities do you have that we can harness and create this beautiful relationship? I'm going to stop there for now.
Okay. All right.
Wow.
Thanks so much.
I think we just want to do a sound check. Is everybody hearing us at the back? Okay. I think
Just a little bit.
that's the little
Yeah,
We'll
so
just-
we need to just elevate that sound. So whilst we're on this part here, can we take a little break so that we can move one of these speakers? Is that possible? So that we can just put at least maybe a speaker here, just so it carries the sound better. Can we do that?
Yeah.
Give me a round of applause for thinking of that. All right, cool. We'll be back in 5. We just want to sort out the sound. Thank you very much.
The motherland, the African man. Long as I'm alive, I'ma make a plan. Strong hosts to break, got long walks to take, got no votes to make. We don't bet, we pray. Hey, African man, yeah.